All right, so guys, picking up where we left off. Now we are going to plot the point. I don't need my video reminder anymore. All right, but now we're going to plot the point. We're going to call it B, and it's going to be located at 3, negative pi over 3. All right, now, first off, what's different about this one? We have a negative angle. So we understand how this works, just like it did in the rectangular system. If you were going to rotate 30 degrees, you would start at the positive x-axis, and you'd go counterclockwise 30 degrees. If you're going to go negative 30 degrees, you just go clockwise 30 degrees. It's the same here in the polar system. So what we're saying, if we were to, let's go ahead and use that second technique of, let's identify the angular line is what I typically call it. Let's find the angular line of negative pi over 3. So we're going to go in the negative direction, and that's going to be located right here. I think that we all can agree. This is the angular line of negative pi over 3, isn't it? So now on this line, I'm going to count out 1, 2, 3 units because we were told that R is 3. This is my point. Now, question for you. Could we have gone the other way? Meaning, could we have started on the polar axis, counted out 1, 2, 3, put a point there, and said, all right, I've got to rotate this negative pi over 3 and rotate it to the exact same spot? Absolutely, we could have done it that way. Really, 100% personal preference. Whichever way you like doing it, you do what you need to do. Okay? So that's going to lead us to the next type of question. The next type of problem, maybe I should say. First up, this is just like we did before. First objective, or first job, I guess, is to plot 2, 3 pi over 4. Okay, we can do this. All right, if we were to do this the more traditional way, on the polar axis, I'm out 1, 2. That's going to be, this right here is going to be the point that I'm moving. So if I were to rotate this 3 pi over 4, if we use our knowledge of the unit circle, I'm going to rotate until we got right there. And that's where we wound up. Okay, so is everybody content with plotting the point at 2, 3 pi over 4? Could we have done it the other way? Meaning, could I have located and said, yep, this guy right here, that's 3 pi over 4, and then just counted out to where R is 2. Distance of 2 from pole to, point on that particular, absolutely. All right, so that's the first thing that we were supposed to do. Step 1, check, done. All right, now the rest of this problem, it says that we're supposed to find 3 additional polar representations of this point. All right, now we've done this before in the rectangular system, but not with 3 additionals. We came up with 1 additional way of doing it. So as a reminder, what if we said, all right, on the unit circle, let's see, what is this? Okay, well that is, let's see, how far did I get there? Well, I rotated 90 degrees. Rotated 90 degrees. But could we have just as easily said, no, we didn't do that. We rotated negative 270 degrees. We remember playing this game before? Okay, well, we can do the same thing here. Okay, here and now. The way that we did this problem is that we went out 2 units on the polar axis, and then we rotated 3 pi over 4. What if we went out 2 units and I just rotated the negative direction? What is my angle going to be then, please? Because I still went out 2, but now what's my angle going to be? Negative what? Negative 5 pi over 4. Very good. Now, how do we get there? Because this is 100% going to be a pattern. How can you quickly go from, if the angle's at positive 3 pi over 4, that's going to be equivalent to negative 5 pi over 4 in terms of location. How do I get there? So we're subtracting 2 pi. What if we're in degrees? We're going to subtract 360 degrees. Good. All right, so guys, we have 2. 2 down says that we're supposed to come up with a total of 4. Given 1, come up with the other 3. So here's where the next part, again, might initially sound a little weird. So again, make sure that we are zoned in. I'll give you a hint here. R is 2. Those are the 2 representations when R is 2. What if R is negative 2? Where do you suppose that's going to put us? Okay, remind me, please. In both of these cases, when R was 2, where did I go to start? We went 2 to the right, didn't we? So if I began by going 2 units to the right, I feel pretty confident that with your knowledge of graphing and even though you're very new to this polar graphing system, I'm pretty confident that if you understood that graphing +2, you'd go to the right. Graphing -2 means that you're probably just going to go to the left, right? Or correct, I should say. Okay. Now, if that's how you think of it, you'll be successful 100% of the time. But I've got to tell you the full story here. Okay, there's a little bit more to it. Because remember, there is no axis right here. This just happens to be an angular line, just like all the other angular lines. The only axis that we have, remember, that's the pole. That's the polar axis. So how in the world do we go off the axis? What this has to deal with, remember back to transformations. Like if you were doing, you started with this parabola, or you started with that square root function or whatever. If you had a negative out front, what did that imply you were going to do graphically? You're going to reflect. So it's the same thing here. We have -2 means that we actually, very traditional, we went out 2 to the right, but it's a reflection. So what do you think we're going to reflect over? We're going to reflect, I'm moving the wrong thing here. We're going to reflect over the pole. As weird as that sounds, that's how we technically are doing a negative. Is that we still went to the right too, but since it was negative, that's when we reflected it back over the pole or the origin. Okay? Now, if you never think of it that way again, and you just think of, oh yeah, R is 2, so I went left 2, you'll be fine. Because it always is going to work out that way. Every single time. Okay? So if, I didn't want to erase that. So if this is -2, now we have to think about, well, how much of a rotation did I do in order to get there? So how much of a rotation puts me there, please? What are you going to tell me? Thank you, Jeremy. What was it, please? Sorry? 7 pi over 4? That's how much of a rotation we're doing? Okay? Now what if we went the shorter, faster way? Yeah, then we still went -2 to get there, and then -pi over 4. These would be all 4 representations of the same consistent point. Guys, how do we feel about doing that? Are we seeing it? All right. Now, what if we would have done this let's just find the angle first. What if we were to find the angle 7 pi over 4? Isn't that going to be this line right here? Well, how in the world am I going to get back to that red dot? Remember, I'm not going out 2. I could say that I'm going there to start out 2, but then I have to reflect over the pole. Remember, and that's going to put me back to where we started. Again, if that's confusing to you, then just don't do it that way. Do it the more traditional of, okay, I'm going to go R units. Oh, it's negative, so I'm going to go to the left 2. Again, and you're going to be successful. All right, so guys, this is where I thought maybe we'd get into this a little bit today, but this is actually where we left off second period also. Main thing that I want you to do before you guys pack up and put everything away, there is an alteration that we'll talk more about tomorrow. Thank you, Sean. The homework assignment has been adjusted. I adjusted on the Google Classroom also, but if you were to look at what you have on your note sheets, there's a whole lot of bookwork. I dramatically lessened the bookwork, and we're going to be doing parts of a worksheet instead. And the reason for that is that graphing a lot of the polar stuff, it gets messy when you don't have one of these circular graphs. So we're going to give you the worksheet to plot a lot of these on. It's just going to be a little bit easier. But then also we've got a lot of the conversion stuff. So as far as homework tonight, obviously this is not all due tomorrow. In fact, I'm not going to be collecting anything actually tomorrow. But what I would highly encourage you to do is go into, on page 745, go in and find just plot the points or identify the coordinate type stuff that we talked about today. On the worksheet, you're good with 1 through 9. You could do 1 through 9, no problems, no issues. Actually, you could do 10 and 12 as well. Okay? All right, so guys, let me get you this worksheet.